Hey guys, welcome back to the Elevate HD podcast. This is episode 16, and this is another solo episode with just myself. I am your host, Holly Davage, and I thought I would chat to you about my post-show experience this time around, comparing it to my previous experiences, what I've struggled with, what barriers I've faced, and how I'm planning to overcome these and kind of transition into my off-season. So at this point, it is now the 27th of November, and I am 6 weeks post show. My last show was the PCA British Finals on the 15th of October. The time has absolutely flown, which is mad. Following the show, it was a bittersweet moment. I woke up on Sunday the next day and I felt quite low. I usually get a bit of post-show blues the day after the show, just with the anticlimax, the come down, you're full of adrenaline on show day. So it's kind of like the antithesis of that when you wake up the next day. Thankfully, Joe had already got to work and he had my training program ready for me to get going on my off-season and post-show phase the following Monday. Now, because I had such a kind of long period of time in my competitive season doing shows, we were running maintenance volume of training for quite a long period of time. And so Joe didn't really want to waste any more time training at maintenance. So he put me straight into a hypertrophy block. And the way we, program our training is that we have a kind of volume progression scheme. So instead of having the same amount of reps and same amount of sets every week, we manipulate set volume. So on week 1, I might have 2 sets of something. Then on week 2, I might have 3 sets of it, so on and so forth. So he put me on this kind of progressive scheme again. I was really excited to go into the gym. I was obviously a bit anxious about having more volume, but I was excited to get stuck into a new training plan. It was cool to have the novelty of new, movements to try and different equipment that I was using in my training program. And it was quite nice to have that novelty. However, this time around with my training plan, we had a different method of progression that I was meant to adhere to. So every week, for every multi-joint movement, I needed to add 2.5 kilos and match reps. For every single joint movement, it was 1.25 kilos and match reps. And then for delts and arms, it was to add a rep each week. And I found myself really struggling to adhere to this progression scheme. And I said that to Joe, and it did make me feel a bit disheartened, like as if I wasn't, succeeding at my post show, that I wasn't kind of serious about it, that I wasn't able to keep up with the recovery process and the off-season process, and it really, really got me down. The problem is that I was trying so hard to stay super lean post show. Like, I have never had an issue with binge eating post show. I've never had an issue with overeating or eating past fullness or eating beyond control. I've had an issue with accepting the weight gain. And obviously we know logically that the weight gain is absolutely necessary in order to recover your health, restore hormonal function, physiological health and balance in your physique, as also mentally, because it's mentally very challenging to be that lean, and it's not healthy for anyone, let alone a female, to stay so lean for such a long period of time. So we know that the priority post show is to get your body fat back up to a normal level so that you can start functioning physiologically and mentally well again. But I was holding on to it, and it didn't help that I had booked a photo shoot for about 10 days post show. It wasn't intentional. I thought I was going to do the FitX finals, but I didn't do them in the end the following week. So I had 10 days between my last show and the photo shoot. And I really wanted to stay in stage condition for this. I was like, I've paid for it. I've invested in it. I really want to make sure I'm in stage condition and show off all my hard work. So Joe had put my calories at about 2,300 post show. And I wasn't sticking to it. I was under eating. I wasn't adhering to the calories. I was saving as many calories as I could each day. And obviously, as a result, this negatively impacted my training. I felt lethargic. I felt my motivation to train was low. I felt really weak. I felt frustrated. I was struggling with this overwhelming feeling of fatigue. Like, I checked in with Joe the following week saying, I'd just been hit with this massive cloud of fatigue that was weighing down on me, that was making everyday tasks overwhelming. It was making training really difficult. I was exhausted. I just wanted to lie in bed all day and do nothing. Like even going for steps was overwhelming. Training I didn't want to do. Obviously I wasn't able to progress in my training. And it was just like, I felt that I was just failing my whole post-show experience because I wasn't keeping up with the recovery. I felt that I wasn't giving my all to my sessions. I didn't have more energy. I felt worse than I ever did throughout my whole prep. I was just absolutely wrecked. And I went to a meetup with my STUPS supplement sponsors in Ultimate Fitness in Birmingham on a Sunday. And we all trained legs together. And I was so exhausted that I felt like I wanted to cry throughout the whole session. And that was the only reason why I wanted to cry, because I was so exhausted. I had to go to the bathroom just to like compose myself. I remember speaking to Steph afterwards and saying, sorry if I was really tired. And she said to me, I actually said to Will, which is our partner, that I didn't want to disturb you because I could see you were so knackered that I didn't want to talk to you too much. And that really kind of struck a chord and hit a nerve with me. Because if anyone knows me, they know I am a very extroverted person. I'm very bubbly. I'm very energetic. I love events. I love socializing. I love meeting new people. I love chatting to new people. So to have someone say at an event, I didn't want to talk to you because you seemed so knackered and you didn't seem like you had energy, that really hit me hard. And I was like, right, someone needed to give me that slap in the face to tell me, this needs to stop. So yeah, it was very hard. So following that, I went home to Ireland for a week because I just needed to see my family. I wanted to spend time, with them, not being on prep. I wanted my mum to look after me. I wanted some downtime. So I took the whole week off work. So I was on annual leave for the week. And the plan was to train that whole week. But the problem with Ireland, and is why a lot of Irish bodybuilders eventually moved to the UK, is that there are very few bodybuilding friendly gyms in Ireland. Like when I prepped at home in Dublin, I trained out of a Fly Fit, which is basically like a pure gym, so like a commercial gym. It's really hard to find bodybuilding gyms, and like I live in the city centre and it's even difficult to find one there. So I was struggling enough to find a gym to train at when I was home. And I checked in with Joe before, kind of just as I got home, and I just said, look, I am shattered. I really couldn't even think about going to my own gym, let alone the thought about going to a new gym and trying to work around different equipment and things I'm not used to. So I decided to take the full week off and just focus on recovery. So I spent the time with my family. I ate my family meals with them at dinner time. So the way I navigated this is what I had meals 1 to 3 as normal. So I usually just have my first 3 meals as normal. And then I shared a family meal with them in the evening, whether that was dinner time. I think we had pasta one night, and then we had pizza another night, and we had burgers another night, and we had roast chicken the other night. So I had all that, and then we went out to eat twice. So I went out to a steakhouse one night and to like an Asian another night. So I managed that quite well, I thought. But the trouble is I was probably overcompensating a lot in terms of my intake. So I was leaving around 1,500 calories just for my dinners, where maybe if I was eating out at the restaurants, maybe that would have been 1,500 calories, including like the alcohol and stuff. But at home, I doubt my dinners were 1,500 calories. So I was definitely overcompensating. And I came back having not gained any weight, even though I felt quite full. And that's what kind of, I had that disconnect with my brain, because I felt really full, but I hadn't gained any weight. And that was probably because I was eating like fattier foods, heavier foods, less nutrient dense foods, less high volume foods. So it just sat in my stomach differently. I think that's probably why I felt so full. So it was, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah. And then also while I was home, I started getting really, really painful gums. And I managed to get an emergency appointment with my dentist. And he told me straight away that I actually had a gum infection that was as a result of stress and high cortisol. And we all know that on prep, you put a lot of stress on your body. Your cortisol levels are very, very high because you are putting huge demand on yourself and what you expect from yourself. And he said that resulted in me getting a gum infection. And he asked me kind of like, why do you do this to yourself? After I explained to him the whole prep and everything I'd been through and how much weight I lost and how lean I had to be. And he could see me because I was still tiny at that point. And he was like, why do you do this? And I was like, I don't know, some of us find it fun, I suppose. So that wasn't ideal. So I had to get over that. So yeah, I had that week in Ireland, and then I returned back to the UK. I did a session the Monday I got back, and then I did a session on the Tuesday after. And honestly, both sessions were horrendous. Like, I was exhausted. I felt wrecked. During the second session, I had to keep going to the changing room to try not to cry. And then I got home and I bawled my eyes out. I was just so upset with how I thought having a whole week off being in Ireland would have done the trick and I would have recovered, but it just wasn't enough. And also, I still wasn't eating, in a surplus or the amount of food I was meant to be eating to gain the weight. So I checked in with Joe on the Wednesday and I said, look, I still can't train. I'm absolutely exhausted. I've cried during my sessions and after my sessions, and I don't really know what to do. And he just basically gave me a wake up call and said, look, you can't recover, and you can't go into your off season when you're not gaining any weight. When you want to try and stay as lean as possible, you're never going to be able to recover from your sessions. You're going to feel low, you're going to feel fatigued, you're not going to feel yourself until you start gaining the weight. And I know that in my head, like, it is 100% what I'd say to my friends, to my clients, to anyone else on the team. I would tell them, body fat restoration is the most important part of a post show, but I just wasn't taking on my own advice and my own knowledge. So he basically said, right, that's enough. And he upped my calories again to 2640. So I'm currently on 2640 calories, 150 protein, 375 carbs, and 60 fat. So a decent amount of food. And he made me promise to follow it. He said he would throw his beard brush against a wall if I didn't follow it. So I made a promise that I would. But then we decided, basically, because that week I was moving house. So I was moving out of my apartment in the city centre and moving into a house in Stockport. My family were coming over for the weekend, thank God, to help me move. And I just said, look, is it okay if I just take the rest of the week off on training? I'm going to be moving gyms anyway. So I was going to start in a new gym facility the following Monday. Why don't we just draw a complete line and start afresh on Monday in my new house, in my new gym, my new training environment? Because I think the problem I was having is because day to day, because I work from home, because I live by myself, because everything in my day was the exact same as it was on prep, I find it really hard to say goodbye to prep because nothing about my day had changed. The only thing that was changing was that I was eating more food and I was gaining body fat. So I thought the change in environment would be really, really helpful, to be in a new home that I didn't associate with prep, in a new gym environment that I didn't associate with prep, and kind of being able to have a clean slate for my off season. So we decided on that. And ever since that weekend, things have been a lot better. I haven't experienced the same fatigue. I managed to stick to my calories every day. So I have been sticking to 2640. I've been having a few more meals out where I've been a little bit more flexible. I've still been mindful. Like, I haven't gone overboard. I haven't had any kind of crazy fuck it cheat days or cheat meals or off plan meals. I have been conscious of what I've been eating throughout the day so that I have a bit of an allotment for the evening. And I'm not going overboard. I'm eating to satiety. I'm listening to my internal hunger and fullness cues, which I think is really important. I don't think you should ever ignore them. So I've had a lot more balance in my day, and just being in a new gym environment has made such a difference. I wanted to move to Elite and train out of Elite for a long time. I find that the community feel there is very pleasant. It's very welcoming. It's very happy. It's very it's very much like a family feel. Everyone's included, everyone's welcome, and I just really liked that vibe. So as soon as I moved there, training has been so good. I love all the equipment there. I love being able to use the Nautilus Nitro pull down and row, and obviously the Cybex hack, and lots of different bits of equipment that I haven't had access to before, which is cool. So things are on the up. It's difficult in my house at the moment because I moved in with no furniture. I've never moved into a house before, let alone an unfurnished one. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been sleeping in an airbed. I have been having no sofa, had no Wi-Fi, obviously couldn't use the TV because I don't have Wi-Fi. I had no chest of drawers. I had no bed frame. I had nothing. So the only thing I've been able to do in the house is use my phone hotspot to go on the internet for work, sit at my desk and office chair because that's the only piece of furniture I have, or lie in my airbed, which hasn't been very comfortable. So it's been a bit kind of haphazard to live the past couple of weeks like that, but things are slowly coming into place. So my sofa is coming tomorrow. My bed frame has arrived and is being put together by someone else today, because I tried to arrange the flat pack furniture myself and I realized it's just not my forte. And if you can pay someone to do it, maybe that would be a better use of my time. So he's putting together the chest of drawers that I attempted to put together yesterday. That's nearly finished. He's going to put together my bed frame, and by the end of today I should have a bed, a chest of drawers, 2 bedside tables, and then the sofa's coming tomorrow. So it should feel more like a home, which is really nice. And I think this is what I find has helped me get through this post show, is that you should start thinking about post show before you even finish prep. And that is what I did, because I had such a gap between my 3rd and 4th show. I did have a bit of time to kind of feel what post show was going to be like. I was kind of grieving prep before it was even over. So that kind of gave me a kick up the arse to say, okay, I need plans in place for post show, because I don't want to just go into the same, day in, day out Groundhog Day that I had in prep. I need something novel. So I got to work. So I started applying for new job roles. For those who don't know, I work in clinical trials, and I am a CRA 2, so a clinical research associate 2. And I wanted a new challenge for my off season, because I wanted other things in my life. I wanted to develop other facets around my life that weren't just prep, that weren't just competing, that weren't just being lean, and kind of expand my identity to something else. So applied for a senior role at different companies, and I basically got offered an interview instantly, got through the first interview, got into the final round, got that instantly as well. So somehow, being a couple of weeks out from like my 4th show, I managed to successfully convince these people that I was capable and coherent, even though my brain was probably dead. It was like a Microsoft Teams interview that was 1 hour and 45 minutes long, which, as you can imagine, being on prep and then also having to train afterwards in the dark, it was not easy. But I did it anyway. So I had the job to look forward to. I also really wanted to move. So my tenancy with my flat was due up in October, and they asked me if I wanted to stay on. But if I was going to stay on, they were going to up my rent by like £100 a month. And I just thought, look, it's not worth it. And I would love to be in a new environment anyway and train out of Elite. So I started looking for places around Stockport, and I found this place, which is a 2-bedroom house. So I'm moving from a 1-bedroom flat to a 2-bedroom house, which seems like a lifestyle level up to me, which is exciting. And also the new gym as well. I just think having a new gym environment to set up my off season is going to be really productive and really exciting. I know lots of people that train there. It's just going to be something new and something fresh. And that's what I would kind of recommend to anyone who is going through post show or who is planning to compete in the future and knows that post show is going to be coming up, is start your post show prep when you're in prep. So start thinking, okay, what parts of my life am I missing out on right now? What parts am I sacrificing? What parts are on the back burner, like my job, my relationships, my hobbies, whatever your pastimes are, your house situation, whatever it is, what's on the back burner right now, and what will I need to put in place so that when I'm in post show, I will have other focuses and other things to concentrate on when prep is over, and I'm not focusing solely on the stage. I think that's really, really helped me to kind of progress through this post show. Yes, it's been hard. Yes, I've struggled, but I feel like I'm slowly coming out the other side of it. I always think it's really funny because I think of myself that I'm 6 weeks post show now. And I was wondering the other day, like, how long post show does it take for you to not be post show anymore and for you to be fully in off season? Like, I think the last time I competed, I was 12 weeks post show, and I was still telling people I was 12 weeks post show. So at what point are you 12 weeks post show, or what week are you 3 months into your off season? Let me know if you have any ideas about that. So yeah, I think it will be another few weeks anyway before I feel like fully settled into my off season. I know I still have weight to gain, and that is just the thing I struggle with most, is that I, for some reason, always identify myself as being lean when I am lean, so that when I need to move away from that and not be lean anymore, I struggle to redefine my identity and kind of to reconfigure who I am as a person and my purpose, when it's not just to get leaner and to diet. Which is funny because as competitors, we should relatively be spending quite a little amount of time dieting and more time building, because obviously, as Paul would say, it's bodybuilding, it's not body revealing, as he said. So we should be spending time away from being lean, building up calories, building up food, trying to gain muscle, trying to improve our physique, because that's the name of the game. And the dieting is just to reveal the hard work that you put in. So we should be spending most of our time not lean and not dieting. But for some reason, that is the time that we kind of hold on to. And I know I struggle with that. I do have an emotional attachment to the scale, which I struggle with. Joe will tell you it probably drives him mental. That I don't really like looking at my scale weight. Like I have a Bluetooth scale, and I don't look at it until check-in. So once a week I look at the app and it has all synced the data from the week, and I will just put it in there. So I only have once a week where I can be worried about it instead of 7. And I just have these little ways of dealing with it. But I am so much better. Like it was really, really tough for a while, kind of trying to stay lean, trying to be lean for the photo shoot, trying to undereat, trying to like not accept the fact that I'm post-show. But now I need to accept the fact that I am post-show. I did have a successful season, but I still can be better, and I still can get better placings and have a better physique. And I need to focus on that. That I do have improvements to make, and I have goals set for myself, and every competitor wants to be better, and they want to improve, and they want to get better placings and every year improve. So I need to do that for myself. And I think the main worry I had when I came off stage is, can I compete next year? Because I took 3 years off between my 2019 season and my 2022 season. I was just terrified to take such a long time off again, because I started feeling really irrelevant and really like away from the trend and not like aware of what was going on in the bikini world. And I felt quite disconnected from the competing world. So I didn't want that to happen again. I still want to be very connected to the bikini world. And I asked Joe, can I compete next year? And he basically said, look, you can, but if you want the best possible opportunity to make the improvements that you need to, like, you should really take the year off. Like I don't need to gain as much muscle as I did last time, because I made huge progress. It is mainly refinements and tweaks at this point. I was getting top 3s in every single show. It is basically just the little bits to get to the first place. But if I did compete again next year and I looked the same and I got the same placings, I'd be really annoyed at myself that I wasted a year that I could have spent investing in building muscle, in improving my physique, and also in building up other areas of my life. I think the one thing that worried me is that if I take next year off, it means that the next time I compete, I'll be 30. And that probably sounds like such a silly thing to say. It probably means nothing to anyone. But I just kind of felt it is a new decade of my life. It's a new phase of my life. It's a phase of my life where I have to start deciding about kids, about my future, about my career, about how I want my life to go. Obviously, as females, you only have a finite amount of time that you can have children. So I have to think about that as well. And that's a big decision that I need to kind of have a think about. So yeah, there's all these things. But I know that it probably is in my best interest to take the time off and just to stay relevant. It's very easy for me to stay relevant. Like Jasmine was saying, that even when I took the 3 years off, I still came to every event. I still went to every show. I was at every stall. I was getting involved in everyone's podcasts. I was doing everything to stay involved. And that's definitely what I'm going to do this year as well, just to make sure that I don't kind of excommunicate myself from the community, because that's something I felt in my head, but it's not something anyone else felt about me. So yeah, that is the plan. I don't think I'm going to compete next year as yet. I might compete early 2024, just so I can have a shot at the earlier season, because the last half of the season just meant I had to prep through summer, and I haven't had a holiday since February 2020, and I would love to have a holiday. So hopefully next year I can have a holiday. So yeah, fingers crossed. But that is pretty much my wrap up of post show. If you have any questions or you want to share anything yourself, if you've had any struggles that you've gone through and you want just an ear or some advice, feel free to drop into my DMs. I'm always there if anyone has any questions or needs any guidance. I would love to help you out. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. If you did tune in and if you did enjoy it, please take a screenshot. Please upload it to your story, tagging me, letting me know if you liked it. And as always, if there's any suggestions for guests, for topics, anything like that, I am all ears, because this podcast is to help you guys and is very much focused on the audience. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.